Welcome to Sobriety's Easy when you are connected. More hugs, please. Have boundaries and practice acceptance. These are today's keys. Building connections with other people requires understanding and practicing boundaries. Together, these promote acceptance. These keys are as important for the person who has an alcoholic in their life as they are for the alcoholic. Let's start with connections. You've probably heard that we are social creatures, even if you're typically an introvert. Being connected to other human beings produces hormones that de-stress us. Oxytocin is released in our brain when we hold hands or hug. My favorite things about the AA meetings were the many hugs before and after the meeting and the bottomless cup of coffee. Talking about negative emotions associated with our life actually activates our brain in such a way as to soothe us. This is why when my father and sister went missing for a couple months, a couple of decades ago, I told everybody about it. The telling of it gave my brain peace. It was no longer a bizarre, frightening thing that couldn't be controlled. It also made me feel less alone in trying to resolve it. When we are using, we're very alone. Even if we drink while with others, we're alone because the alcohol anesthetizes our feelings, so there is no intimacy. If you made the list of 50 ways to have fun that was suggested in the first podcast, then you may have some items that will involve other people, which gives you an opportunity to increase connections. If you live near a large town or city of any size, there are probably events, workshops, retreats centered on one of your interests. Choose a few items for your list of 50 and get all the information that you need by calling the information line or looking them up on the website to be comfortable attending the meeting or event. If it's helpful, you can ask a trusted friend to go with you. That's not required. Dancing has always been an expression of my emotions. During my drinking days, my husband and I won second place in a twist contest in Chicago. If you haven't done the twist dance in a while, do it as one of your fun things. It's guaranteed to bring big smiles. When I got sober, a colleague invited me to join her in a clog dance. There's no alcohol, and I was skeptical, but willing. It was delightful to see all those people smiling while they danced to the live music. I couldn't believe they were so free with their dance move, since most of my dancing had taken place when alcohol was prominent. We had a wonderful conversation between dances. This was my new most fun thing. Sobriety was going to be okay. I was going to be okay. My substitute mom had her own spiritual version of the fun list. I needed a substitute because a few years after I got sober, my mother passed away. Instead of a list, she cut out pictures that represented her dreams of things to come. Long before dream boards were a thing, she taped pictures on her bedroom wall and prayed over them, thanking God for answering her prayer. Once the dream was realized, she moved the picture to a bathroom wall. Over the next 25 years, her bathroom wall was plastered with realized dreams, so you could barely see any wall. One picture was of the Concorde, which she wanted to experience on a trip to London. 10 years to the day after she put that picture on her bedroom wall, she rode the Concorde to London, so the picture was moved to the bathroom wall. Another was a cruise ship. She won the title Queen of the Cruise at age 84, which she said was because she danced in high heels. I was privileged to be in a picture she had of the time that she and I went to see the Pope on one of his visits to the United States. She was a lot like my actual mother in her enjoyment of activity engaging with people. Such a great example for me to increase connections. It was important for me to include connections with people who didn't have children as well as people with families. Just like it's important for people to go on dates where they don't talk about the children. It helps our perspective. If the children are our only focus, we narrow our field of vision to activities and mindsets that are childlike and miss the opportunities for a broader purpose and worldview. Variety in Friends provides variety in ideas, perspectives, opinions, skill sets, etc. When we spend time with others, we gain a positive sense of self for a number of reasons. When people ask us about our week, our family, or any aspect of our life, we feel like we matter because someone actually cares about us. When they respond with appreciation to our comments or our actions while with them, we have evidence that we are worthwhile. When we enjoy a laugh together, we have a sensation of trust. Spending time with people lifts our spirits and our definition of ourselves in subtle ways that deepens our self-acceptance, which increases our confidence. We learn to love ourselves. We become stronger. There can be barriers to connectivity when we are sober. We had neighbors over for a dinner when we bought our home to expand our friend list. They showed up with a bottle of wine and were put off when we didn't open it during their visit. Word spread in the neighborhood that we were sober and didn't allow drinking alcohol in our home. While sad that people excluded us, it's easier to handle the truth of the importance of alcohol in their life rather than having to deal with being around people who drink too much. Another barrier can be our fear of inadequacy, fear of being used or abused, fear of being inappropriate, fear of rejection, or simply our preference to be alone. Boundaries are one of the most important tools in sobriety to promote connectivity, heal our past, and help us to move forward. They keep us safe and help us to behave appropriately. Boundaries are limits on our behavior and limits on how we allow others to behave around us, meaning that we can walk away or firmly set our limits and let them be known. In early sobriety, we practiced interacting with others without the cloud of alcohol that removed our inhibitions and didn't allow boundaries. Many of us in recovery grew up in alcoholic homes where there were no boundaries or extremely rigid boundaries that resulted from a controlling parent, sibling, or other person in our life. My home growing up lacked boundaries unknowingly. Because my parents were focused on my father's alcoholism and meeting the basic needs of a family of 7 children and grandmother, attention was not paid to boundaries. It was actually a wonderful beginning to life, with a forest of 40 miles behind our house, 30-foot pine trees to climb, wild blueberries for muffins and pies to peck, and plenty of neighborhood kids to play hide and seek, ride bikes with, and play ball with on the ball diamond at the bottom of the hill. Why would anyone think there was something wrong? The first 2 criticals of boundaries are recognition and setting limits. I know that my boundary is being crossed when I get a queasy feeling in my stomach, which is typically followed by being hyper alert or defensive. I have learned to pause, make a quick assessment of the situation, and then to state what I need or want. When you pay attention to how your body and emotions are reacting to your environment and the people in it, you'll learn how to identify a boundary crossing. In early sobriety, I wanted to trust everybody because I had hope and I didn't want to be alone anymore. The problem is there are a lot of people in this world who don't have boundaries, so they were crossing mine without knowing it and certainly without intending to. There are also many people whom I interacted with that were survivors of abuse, which meant they didn't have boundaries and oftentimes would be pushy or angry for no apparent reason. The beauty of being around other people in recovery was you learn how to inform people you don't drink alcohol and how to avoid places where alcohol is being served. These are excellent examples of important boundaries. An easy way to think about boundaries is to picture yourself with a huge bubble surrounding you that's very close to you when you're around someone you know well. And the bubble expands out, so there's more space between you and someone that you do not know well. It's crucial to have the flexibility so that when we are drawing limits, we don't shut out people who are important to us and people who can help us to heal from things we've been through. Boundaries are also flexible in that they change as you get to know someone. You hold them at arm's length or further when you first meet, and as you learn more about them, are given ways to believe in them and trust grows. Then you bring that arm in so that they can come closer. Sharing your story is a crucial area to practice healthy boundaries. I frequently told my students, anyone in the classroom may be friends with people that are part of your negative past, so don't share more than you want the entire world to know. The 6 degrees of separation theory suggests anything you say or do can quickly and easily come back to you in a positive or negative way. When you grow up in an alcoholic home, you often are not taught about boundaries because the coping mechanisms that go with that type of home include lying, protecting someone who's doing things that are harmful to others, shutting down feelings, and trusting no one. There is a lot of avoidance. You're taught to adjust your life for the feelings of others. None of this promotes good boundaries. Coming out of this home, there are a couple of possible boundary flaws that someone may experience. A person may have holes in the bubble that surrounds them, meaning that they have some boundaries, yet no boundaries in some areas. Or they're standing on a small platform with no walls, no bubble, no protection. I had holes in my boundaries. My family taught me morals and values. They did not teach me self-respect. An example of holes would be deciding you don't want to drink alcohol. However, you allow others to bring alcohol to your home so they can have some while you play a game or eat a meal together. The first 2 times that occurs, you feel uncomfortable. You say nothing because you were brought up to adjust your behavior and feelings to the feelings of others. The 3rd time these people bring alcohol to your home, you're tempted to sneak a sip of wine while refilling the cheese plate. The other people in the other room engaged in conversation. They won't notice. You decide to patch that hole and prohibit drinking alcohol in your house. It may take many months to patch all of the holes in your boundaries, which is okay. You gain strength and awareness each time you discover a new hole and patch it with what you need and want your limits to be. A person with no boundaries has no starting point. The lack of boundaries may be from an abusive home, or it may be a home where a parent or sibling may be physically or mentally abusive to one or more of the family members, which may be allowed to happen because someone in the family is mentally or physically disabled, and this requires time and energy. It prohibits the parents from being aware or having the wherewithal to handle more than just that person and the basic requirements of food and shelter for everyone else. In this example, the abuse that's allowed spreads. If dad is abusing mom, and mom gets angry at Susie and calls her names, then Susie may take it out on Fred, who gets back at Susie, and both children are disrespectful to their parents. Frustration, lack, and fear rule the house. When each child leaves the home to go to college or get their own place, they're beaten down by this upbringing and either have no boundaries, so they allow an abusive person into their life, or develop steel walls as protection so that no one can enter. A person with no boundaries typically doesn't attract healthy people. The healthy person can see the neediness from lack, the hurt from crossed boundaries, and or the distrust. A healthy person spends most of their free time with healthy people. An abuser can see all of those things and more. They see someone who can be manipulated, who wants to please, who will respond to excessive attention. Abusers appear to be attentive, but their interest is in controlling the one with no boundaries. The abuser is appealing because they're filling the lack and they communicate frequently, in contrast to the lack of communication in the family of origin. Since the abuser appears safe, the person with no boundaries gladly joins the abuser in their boundaries, their bubble, which enhances the relationship between them and allows the abuser to manipulate and abuse the person with no boundaries. After one or more of these abusive relationships, the person with no boundaries will usually build steel walls to prevent any future abuse, or they may become depressed and isolate. They may attend therapy, which I highly recommend, of course, and start building a patchwork of boundaries based on what they learned from abusive relationships. Now, a person with steel walls can heal by spending time with loving people and learning about boundaries. The walls will melt. The person will strengthen their sense of self, learn to trust themselves, and gain confidence that's necessary in a healthy relationship. They can slowly let the walls down a smidgen at a time with people in their close circle. It's important to have people with whom you can share what portion of the wall you're willing to lower and what may help you heal. If you get uncomfortable at any point, you can raise that portion of the wall again. It's important for you to know that you are in control of the walls. They're serving a purpose. Even though they may have been built outside of your awareness, now you can control them with increased awareness and practice. Like many things, this takes time. The amount of effort you put in and the extent of your support group determines how long this process takes. This is where having fun comes in. Having fun lowers our ambitions and increases our trust. It can be a good place to lower one or two parts of our walls. The child within us can freely express themselves. Having fun opens us up to exploration and learning. Sometimes we had so much responsibility growing up, or we have so much in our adult life, that having fun seems to be a waste of time. It isn't. It is critical to healing, creativity, and problem solving. Putting something fun in the calendar once or twice a week lifts our spirits. Each fun activity energizes us. Our world enlarges. Remember, we need to be intentional, and the fun activity can be small, medium, or large. The tiny world created by lies that came with the alcohol and drugs appears farther away. How do we identify our boundaries? One activity is to make a list of 5 boundaries in each aspect of your life. You can state the boundary as something you will or will not allow in your life. For example, 5 physical boundaries might be, I won't hit or physically hurt someone except to escape a harmful situation. I will report anyone who assaults me to the police. I will exercise for 30 to 60 minutes 3 times a week. I will sleep a minimum of 7 hours and a maximum of 10 hours every day. I will spend 20 minutes outdoors daily unless it's too cold or too hot for my health. That's stated that way because my health doesn't like extreme temperatures. Everybody's different. Some common boundary areas are financial, family, employment, friends, spirituality, psychological, emotional, verbal, and community. Pay attention to your reactions to people and situations throughout the week to determine what lifts you up and what bothers you. Each day reflect on your reactions and compose boundaries. Also pay attention to how others are reacting to your words and behavior, so you identify limits you need to set with regard to their boundaries. Once I was sitting next to a person in a wheelchair at the community college cafeteria. When she was having difficulty manipulating her food and drink on the table in front of her, I moved them closer to her to help. She screamed, spun her wheelchair around, and dashed all around the commons area. When she returned, I apologized, and she said, "Don't." That was not helpful. She told me it made her angry when people automatically assumed that she was incapable of something because things look and took more effort for her. Then we had a marvelous conversation over lunch. I have done my best to ask if someone wants help as a way to respect their boundaries. Read, read, read. The more you read about boundaries and connections, the easier they become. When you learn to use them, your life becomes your own. Freedom is sweeter than ever. You are free to choose. You're in control of your life. Excellent boundary resources are available on websites, Instagram, magazines, and books. Experts whom I found helpful and used with my students and clients include Dr. Henry Cloud, Dr. John Townsend, Dr. Caroline Leaf, Pia Melody, Melody Beatty, and Janet Woititz, Woititz. We need to talk about saying no because it helps us set boundaries. One of the most respectful words in the English language is no. It tells others that you respect yourself enough to set limits. It tells you that you can handle other people's responses to your limits. It also tells others that you respect them enough to know they can find someone else to say yes. You're not so prideful that you have to say yes to every request. You're not the only person in the world who can accomplish whatever the person is asking of you. Try saying no to everything for a week. Would you like some ice cream? No, thank you. Maybe we can have some after dinner. You said no and offered an alternative time. So it was easier to say no to something you love because you were only postponing it. If someone asks you for help on a committee, you can respond, I'm not available to do that at this time. I look forward to helping another time. You need to realize you're saying no to the situation, not to the person. Acceptance, our final key, is a powerful, powerful tool. It means that we allow something or someone to be as they are at the moment, without judgment and without a desire to make any changes to the thing or person. Rather than control the thing or person, we control our reaction, our responses to the way they are at the moment. In recovery, a paramount attitude is acceptance of our past and our limits. People don't go on a diet to lose weight until they realize, admit, and accept that they're overweight. Similarly, we stop drinking when we realize and admit that alcohol is no longer wanted in our life. Our acceptance that we are alcoholic, or even that we have a problem with alcohol without the label of alcoholic, takes realization of the relationship between our alcohol use and the difficulties we are facing in our life. This is often called our bottom. A drunk driving accident or ticket, losing a job due to drinking on the job, or being late every day because you drank the night before, spending time in jail due to something we did while intoxicated, a relationship ending, failing in school, and alcohol-induced illnesses are common bottoms that people experience. My marriage ended. I became a single mother. I spent my last week of drinking to excess, painting what I thought was going to be my new home. We were finally buying a house on a lake, my lifelong dream of places to live. I started drinking early in the day for some ridiculous reason and didn't stop until I couldn't drink anymore. Alcohol poisoning, which lasted for several days, was my consequence. During a severe ice storm that caused a power outage, which meant no water. That didn't result in acceptance. After a few days of no food, I felt well enough to eat and was most excited because I could have a cocktail again. That's just crazy. It actually took 4 months of not drinking, attending lectures, and 12-step meetings for me to accept my condition of having alcoholism. Once I realized that the pain and anxiety, which is a level above normal anxiety due to life, was part of the norm for alcoholics and addicts, my life changed. My acceptance occurred. I did not drink daily, yet after a lecture on pain, anxiety, and drinking to feel normal, I understood that I was and am an alcoholic. The emptiness and self-loathing that I mentioned in the first podcast were ever present for me, partially due to hereditary, partially due to drinking, and partially due to life. Drinking lifted those feelings and allowed me to handle life. So I thought. According to the lecture, drinking to get a buzz and feel good over time becomes a need to drink to feel normal. And even drinking doesn't take away the pain after more time. There is no reaching normal. I had reached that point without drinking daily. After this lecture, I felt like I was in a coffin. For a week, I fought with a realization that everything I had learned about alcoholism in the previous few months applied to me. I was angry and scared because I didn't know what it meant for my future. During that week, I continued to go to meetings and talk to people with whom I had developed trust. I also prayed almost constantly. I was so angry at God for not healing me. I talked to Him about this situation daily. After a week, I moved the lid off the coffin and climbed out. It was time to go to work on fixing this. I accepted the disease and attended lectures and meetings with a new curiosity. I was a sponge. I started running and exercising because those were recommended activities to handle my new large feelings. I had transitioned from being void of feelings and negativity to feeling things very strongly. I will always remember the first time I said I was an alcoholic. It was soon after my acceptance that I attended a meeting where a woman gave me a large index card with something to read at the beginning of the meeting. I asked her if I had to say the usual opening line. "My name is Julie, and I'm an alcoholic," before reading the card. She laughed and asked why I'd been coming to meetings for the past several weeks. When I returned home after that meeting, I felt relief. Now, other people had heard my admission that I was an alcoholic. I didn't have to hide. I was no worse nor better than anyone else at the meeting. I found a place where I was accepted. The thought of sharing the secret of my alcoholism had never crossed my mind. Up to that point, I had introduced myself at meetings by saying, "Hi, my name is Julie, and I have a drinking problem." Acceptance means to stop fighting. It doesn't mean to avoid change. Rather than fighting, acceptance tells us to look for what is okay, see what we don't like or want, and explore how to live with it or get beyond it. Helen Keller said, "When one door of happiness closes, another opens. But often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one that has been opened for us." Another podcast comes to an end with my desire to help you see open doors. Addiction sometimes offers a false happiness. Sometimes it offers nothing. Today's keys are connectedness, boundaries, and acceptance. I hope these pieces of sobriety path will make it easier for you. For those of you who are not alcoholics or addicts, I hope you took away a nugget. I look forward to sharing additional tools next week. Please join me on this miraculous path.